Daily Broadside, day 592. It's Christmas Eve today. And what do I discover on TikTok? I've seen this a time before, like a few months ago. I saw one of these. This is a different guy. He's going live, and he's got this sign behind his head that says, "I have herpes. Ask me anything." And I'm like, first of all, do you not have anything better to do on a Christmas Eve, family-wise or friend-wise, party celebrating-wise, than go live on TikTok and have people ask you about herpes? I don't get that at all. But secondly, what are we going to ask you? You got the herpes? Yes, I do. All right, we've established that. Is it fun? No, it's not. You have to tell the other person, I presume, before you have visits in a conjugal way. Yeah, I do. I'm very transparent about it. I guess you use protection so as not to spread. Yeah, I do. I mean, what? I mean, after about 4 or 5 questions, I think we're done. Like, what are we going to learn from this guy? I just find it weird that that's a thing to do on Christmas Eve or any other time for that matter. I mean, what information are you spreading that's helping anybody? And I have one rule for people that I allow myself to associate with. They cannot be a part of any HOA board, a chairperson, anything like that, because I find those people to be the most petty of all people. I would never in a million years in this lifetime, move in or build a house in a neighborhood that had HOAs, because it goes against everything that is American. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I don't want to live next to somebody that's got a bunch of unsightly, 4-foot tall grass and stuff like that. I want them to have, some semblance of manicurization, if that's a word. I think it is now, to their property and make it look kind of nice, But at the same time, I can't make them do that because that would be un-American. You can do whatever you want with your property, If I want to paint an outbuilding blue and my house is, purple, then that's what I'll do. It's just crazy. You have to get permission to park an RV in your driveway and all this stuff. And I can't get on board with that. So I can't associate with any of those people at all, okay? Have you ever noticed how there are more rules in prison followed and created by the inmates than were the rules that they broke to get into the prison in the first place? I mean, these are people that are, multiple time felons, maybe first time offenders, whatever, but they did something egregious enough to get them put into prison. Okay. So that makes them not the best upstanding citizens. Even if they repent and turn their life around, what got them in there makes them less than a stellar citizen. We can agree. And so they broke whatever rules there were on the outside to get on the inside. Don't rob a bank. I'm going to go rob that bank. You broke a cardinal rule. That's a rule that we have established that, in a civilized society, we're not going to rob each other's banks. But then when they get inside, they got all these rules, about how to use the bathroom, how to go to the shower, and how to, get along with your bunkie, and how to, all this, you celly, whatever. It's just weird. But it further promotes the idea that, Great Britain used Australia as a penal colony in the late 1700s. They would take hundreds of thousands of people. I think it was like 150,000 people that ultimately went there from like Ireland and Great Britain to serve whatever time for like the 19 offenses that they had listed that they felt were, again, egregious enough to warrant being sent off to a penal colony. Now, that had to be a really long boat ride for one thing, but then they get there and they kick them off the boat and they're in Australia. They got all those little penal colonies around, and there were guards and everything like that, but I'm looking at it like, first of all, there's enough stuff in Australia to kill you that you really don't need guards. And second of all, it's an island, so what are they going to do? Castaway going to build a raft, Just let them hang out. Just settle yourselves, If he dies, he dies, as Dolph Lundgren said in Rocky IV, But more to the point, they would establish a colony that had rules because apparently that's what they do on the inside anyway. So why wouldn't we trust them to do that? You know what I mean? Like, just let them just fend for themselves. I don't know what the plot of Escape from New York is, but I want to say that's what that is I think I don't know anything about that movie other than Kurt Russell's in it. But I think that's what it was, is like the island of New York was like a prison, and they tried to escape. Of course, that'd be a lot easier just swimming across the Hudson River or whatever it is up there than having to swim across the Indian Ocean or whatnot. But you can make it to Vanuatu or whatever. But anyway, I digress. I'll tell you something. Activia. I remember when Activia came out. You know, it was all the rage. It's really tasty yogurt. I like it. It's my preferred yogurt of choice. I like it. But usually, it's just small little containers. You know, I grew up with the Briars and the ones that, you know, had to mix the fruit and all that. I don't like to mix fruit. Just mix it at the plant, okay? Wouldn't that be easier? You know, and so I grew up with ones that were bigger. So whenever I eat Activia, I always have two of them because that little cup is just not that much, right? But I got to tell you, when you buy those things in like 6-packs, I understand why they do it, because on the shelf, they want you to see that this is a mixed berry and a black cherry pack. You don't want all the mixed berry on one side or whatever for ad purposes or, you know, observation purposes in the store. But it's so annoying when you go to get two of those and you got to break 4 of them off just to get the 2 that match, because you don't want to eat a mixed berry and a strawberry and a banana, or a black cherry and a peach. It would just taste weird, you know? You're creating concoctions that don't need to be really concocted. If you ever thought about it, like you ever thought about the fact that like George Washington right now, if he was alive, he'd be like 291 years old, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Because I don't think, at least for me, I don't think those people being that far away, but they really are. That was a long, long time ago. 291 years old, you know? But then when you look at it, you're like, Jimi Hendrix would be like 85 or whatever. Maybe it's not that far away, you know? He's just 3 times older than what Jimi Hendrix would be. So maybe in Jimi Hendrix terms, it's really not that far away. But any of those people that have died, well, you know, whether it's Jim Morrison, you know, Thomas Jefferson, anybody, right? Ulysses S. Grant, right? You could technically go see that person if you were to go and dig up their grave and exhume their body from the sarcophagus that they, I don't think that's sarcophagus. I think a sarcophagus is what you put in a mausoleum, in the tomb that they are in. You could roll back the stone and find there's George Washington and his horrible donkey teeth, you know, as Shane Gillis calls it. What a great routine. But, you know, it's kind of weird that you're just that one step away from getting a backhoe and a shovel. And, you know, you could exhume anybody you want to in this country. That could be found at a, if you know, as long as you know where they were buried and they weren't cremated, you could just dig them up and look at them. You're like, look, that's Ulysses S. Grant. He was buried in like his dress blues and all. Man, he really was short. You know, it's, you know, they're not really going to look like, you know, themselves because they've been rotten for the last 291 years. But, I guess it goes to the point that we just don't see enough grave robbing anymore. I mean, and I think the grave robbing came about, and I'm not endorsing that we grave rob at all. Although it is kind of a cool verb. Like, you know, you went grave robbing last night and went frog gigging too. Yeah. So, but nobody does it anymore. But I think it was because people would be buried with their wealth and stuff. So I think they were digging up, you know, the silver coins they laid on their eyes, so to speak, which was, I don't even know if that really happened. That seems kind of dumb. But, yeah, it's just kind of surreal that, you know, if I wanted to go see Prince, I could just dig up Prince, you know, and then you'd be like, there he is, the little guy. He's got a little purple suit on. He's so cute in his little casket and all. Just a thought, but don't be digging up graves. It's really, it's disrespectful to the deceased, the family, and your future. It's probably against the law. So just keep that off the books. Y'all have a great, what is this? Christmas Eve. Iggity.